The unfortunate truth with living in the United States is that it feels like every other day a mass shooting or attack in some way, shape, or form has occurred, with each one of those red dots representing the pre-established tragedies as mentioned. However, this is really only a small sample of these unfortunate events going all the way back to 2017. But from the iconic 1966 clock tower shooting to 40 years later, in 2006, a certain incident shrouded in true mystery would occur, known as the 2006 Volleyball Incident. I think we all know how the game of volleyball works. With the 6-person team game, volleyball for generations on end has gained quite a lot of iconicity with it, and with its vast schooling age range of the sport being played from middle school, high school, and even college level leagues on how popular the sport is, and with the major athleticism, will, and skill the game takes, compared to a lot of other sports, is truly unique. And furthermore, with it, the game being so popular, having multiple national sports teams, as well as their success in the NORCECA Confederation/Conference, you can really tell for how long the sport of volleyball in the United States goes, with the sport being founded in America all the way back in 1895 by a man named William G. Morgan, with from the start of volleyball, it starting all the way back in Massachusetts, is an extremely interesting story. However, within the northern part of the United States for schooling sports, volleyball would prove to be the most popular school sport within the region, but more specifically, with the age demographic of high school students within that region. And throughout the 2000s, this love for the sport would prove to be extremely vast and loyal. So much so, a lot of these high school athletes would play in after-school volleyball games out of loyalty and fun for the game. However, as we would all see from the early 2000s, it definitely was a time of true and utter unpredictability and chaos, and a common denominator of tragedy overall around this time frame before and well after the 2000s is school shootings, tragic events carried out by sick individuals. But within the as-mentioned northern part of the United States, school shootings would definitely riddle that part of the country despite its more rural community. And within the North Dakota through Nebraska region around 2006, a school shooting was reported to occur. However, unlike other tragedies, it was reported that this shooting would have occurred after school hours during a high school volleyball game, which would go down into infamy to be known as the 2006 Volleyball Incident. So what is the story behind this tragic event? Well, as mentioned, it was reported that during the evening of a high school volleyball game, a gunman went into a high school volleyball game and had opened fire at a crowd of people attending the game, and with a reported total between 17 up to 24 deaths in relation to this shooting, with reports of this shooting being worse than the Columbine shooting that happened 7 years prior, being reportedly heard from all the way across the world. The 2006 volleyball incident was seen as a truly tragic shooting. However, the problem with this story is not on what happened during this incident, but on whether it happened at all. To start, in terms of time of the shooting, all we know is that it took place in 2006, no date or even month that this shooting would have taken place. But since the incident took place after school hours, where volleyball players, parents, and other attending students were, I think it's safe to say that this shooting would have taken place between the January to May or to the August to December timeframe, due to being the year frame that schools in the United States are in attendance. Another critical problem with the legitimacy of this shooting is that on the main and original account of the story not being the only one, with it as well being reported that the 2006 volleyball incident was a bombing instead of or going side and side with the mentioned shooting. And what is most fraudulent on the legitimacy of the 2006 volleyball incident is that when you look up the 2006 volleyball incident, nothing is conclusive in the respects of the incident we're talking about. And believe me, we'll get into the more of the results that shows up when you look up the 2006 volleyball incident. But for now, what is most relevant to the search of the 2006 volleyball incident is the search results only primarily show up Reddit forums and conspiracy sites talking about the incident. No real news stories or videos talking about the prefaced incident. And when you look up images about the 2006 volleyball incident, what really only shows up is pre-established conspiracy media involved in the volleyball incident, as other reported volleyball incidents that has nothing to do with a shooting or even schools for that matter, such as the picture on screen that shows two female volleyball players reportedly crashing into each other during an Olympic volleyball game a couple years ago, having nothing to do with the 2007 volleyball incident. So why is this odd and eerie event so well documented on the internet, despite any news outlets relating to the event practically non-existent? Well, for that, let's take a look into all the theories relating to this crazy incident and see what we can take from it all. And to start, out of the many theories, it's believed that the US government played a part in the overall mystery of this incident, with the theory going that during the volleyball event, several government officials were in attendance, undercover, reportedly looking out for a man who they considered dangerous and needed to be taken care of. But unfortunately, after taking out the suspect, civilian deaths occurred, and too much to simply cover up with just designating their deaths as accidents or missing cases. In turn, a mass cover-up would begin to silence media outlets and online sources, as well as massively pay off the family members or victims affected by this incident. The second theory would come from an extreme case of the Mandela effect, a social phenomenon in which a large group of people believing that something that didn't happen really did happen, such as the person who the theory is named after, Nelson Mandela, with the general public believing that Nelson Mandela died in prison sometime in the 1980s, but come the 2013, when Nelson Mandela was revealed to actually pass away, to the shock of the world, when this occurred, mass outcry and general confusion would occur on the surprise of his death. So in relation to the 2006 volleyball incident, it's very possible that this incident was an extreme misheard or misinterpreted event. But misinterpreted by what, you might be asking? Well, in 2006, a high school tragedy in Colorado would occur to be known as the 2006 Plate Canyon High School Hostage Crisis, in which around September of 2006, a sick individual would enter the school, took 7 female students hostage, violated them, and at the end of the tragedy, released 6 out of the 7 girls. But unfortunately, the one of 7 girls who out of respects, I won't say her name, wasn't so lucky, and at the end of the incident, the assailant, who I won't mention, would take the life of the 7th victim and proceed to do the same with himself. And unlike the 2006 volleyball incident, this event had news articles, online reports, and on YouTube, several news reports, and even documentaries about the incident. And when you consider the fact that this was in 2006, took place at a high school, definitely shares a lot of the tropes that the 2006 volleyball incident has to it. However, out of all of the theories mentioned, that's most plausible and likely one is that this incident was an internet hoax. So what's the proof, you might be asking? Well, in 2017, on a website forum site called Above Top Secret, it was said from user drock905 saying that something that the user came across that is either said to be a prank but can also be a cool idea / story would be an event called the 2006 volleyball incident, where the user would go on into concept about the idea of the shooting ARG, if you want to call it that, but where the user goes into depth about multiple shootings occurring on a certain day in 2006 in small towns across tiny towns with every small populations during high school volleyball games, where in turn the attacks would be erased from public record, with only a few remembering the attacks. This, of course, is only a general synopsis, and compared to the full story / stories, is for the most part, not 100%. However, this post would prove to be the first mention of the 2006 volleyball incident online, and I think it's safe to say, from there, over time, people really liked this story, and people's own variations and ideas of the story started to sprout up all over the internet. However, there might still be a couple of other reasons on why this online hoax got so popular like it did, and it would all spark back in March of 2021 when major YouTube icon and SAS Wendigoon in his massive conspiracy iceberg series would go over one of the entries called the 2006 Volleyball Incident that would go over a summary of the story and theories surrounding it. And keep in mind, this was around the point when Wendigoon was blowing up in popularity as a creator, and a lot of the online accounts and forums were all occurring when this major rising creator mentioned it in both his iceberg videos called The Conspiracy Theory Iceberg, released in May of 2021, and his original conspiracy iceberg video called The Conspiracy Theory Iceberg Explained, Part 7, 2/3, released in March of 2021, with both of these videos having well over 1 million views, especially his full conspiracy theory iceberg video having well over 11 million views. So all things considered, it would really only make sense that this quote-unquote incident was really brought up into the digital side stream due to Wendigoon's iceberg series, and in turn turned into a massive online conspiracy, so much so people really begun to debate the legitimacy and realization of the incident that, all things considered, I think online we have never quite seen before. So there you have it, the 2006 volleyball incident. This was a really fun and interesting topic that I really hope all of you enjoyed looking into with me, and ultimately shows the power of the internet and just how huge hoaxes and rumors can get. But with that, I've been Skipperson, and I hope y'all have a great day.